Hi guys, I'm back again and I have for you a review of The Bees by Laline Paul. This was nominated for the Women's Prize shortlist last year, and this was a book that I was quite anxious to pick up. I read this as my second book club pick of the school year. So the first pick of the school year was Paris by Edward Rutherford, and this is the second one. Now, I finished reading this book. It took me roughly a week to get through this book. And I would say it's not because it was hard to read, but I didn't feel that it was as gripping as it says on the cover. That's my opinion. Now, The Bees. This is basically a personification of a beehive, or the bees in the beehive. And so what we have is a main character whose name is Flora 717, and she is, as it says on the back of the cover, is a survivor. So it says that Flora is born of the lowest class, which is the class that cleans the hive. They're considered to be the lowest because they do all the nitty-gritty dirty work. And this is the class that Flora is a part of. Now, as we progress in the story, we realize that Flora is special. She has the capability of doing a lot of the other jobs in the hive that apparently the other bees don't. So you are born into one section, like you can do the cleaning, or you can do the foraging, or you can do something else. You can do only that job, and Flora has the capability of doing all of the jobs in the hive. And as the story progresses, we realize, you know, this can be a problem. So the beehive itself is sort of like a metaphor for a totalitarian society. So Laline Paul makes her mark on this story through the eyes of Flora, but told in a third person. And I think this is one of the reasons why it was a little distancing for me personally. But she talks about lots of different issues like fertility, controlling your own fertility, people being different and being allowed to do different things that may not be what is expected of the group as a whole, etc., etc. She goes on with a lot of things. Now, the good things about this book is that she does make a good description of bee life. So the way they communicate, and the different dances that the bees can make to communicate with each other, the communication through antenna, their I guess you can say pre-written, or should I say DNA programming, which allows them to be able to do so many things that bees can do. Like, for example, go off and find, recolt the nectar and the pollen, and then remember the way back to the hive. All right, now, all that put aside, at the book club on Saturday, we first discussed the book for about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we had a guest come and speak to us, and he was a beekeeper, and he explained to us everything about bees and the beehive. And the first thing we came to the conclusion was that the way this book is presented is not exactly right. The different jobs of the different groups in the beehive, it's not like that in the beehive. Actually, a bee goes through, I think it's 6 or 7 different stages. And what Laline Paul has done is she's made each stage a group in the beehive. So instead of it being only one bee being able to go through all of these stages, in fact, all bees go through these stages. So that is a little bit tricky with the way she set up the book. We were a little disappointed by that because we kind of wanted to believe in the fact that Flora was actually really different. But that was one of the things that made me a little wary right from the beginning, when a story is set up to be this kind of, particular type of society, and only one person is sort of like, the Virgin Mary or the special one. It makes the story a little tricky for me. Besides all of that, I think the story is told with a slight sci-fi kind of feel to it. You know, it's not just like a simple story about bees. It is kind of sci-fi, I would say. That might explain why Margaret Atwood has put gripping on the front cover as her blurb for the book. And yeah, it does have like a kind of funny, you know, feel from, you know, like the Handmaid's Tale kind of thing. You know, all of the issues that are going on there are some of the issues that are kind of going on in here. Now, would I recommend this book? I would recommend it to anyone who is interested in this kind of parallel between totalitarian societies and bees. And I would also recommend it for people that don't know anything about bees and would like to know more about them, because she does do a good job of painting the picture of what bees do inside of the hive. That's all I have to say for you about this book. I gave it 3 stars out of 5. It wasn't as gripping, and you know, it didn't make me want to like sit up all night and read it, but I did read it and I thought it was a good book. So yeah. So if you guys have read The Bees, you know, and you want to, you know, talk about it below, please leave your comments. If you have questions, please leave them below. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say about The Bees, because I know quite a lot of people have been picking this up or have picked it up around the time of the Women's Prize. Let's talk about it. I'll talk to you really soon with another video.